Hello and welcome. This is Grant Hughes of Grant Hughes Investigates on YouTube. This channel evaluates all aspects of true crime. As you are aware, videos and live streams in this genre often discuss elements of crime that may be disturbing to some viewers. If necessary, take the precautions needed to avoid these feelings. Factual information related to cases is the key to fostering rational true crime discussions. Fortunately, you will find that here. Please hit the like button only once, share the video, and subscribe if you like my content. Thank you very much for watching.
Hello, freakazoids! Yep. Voice is still a little bit off. Still testing positive. It's not as bright as it was yesterday. You know when you take that COVID test and it takes a while for stuff to light up, so the control light lit up and then the other one slowly started lighting up. You know that you've got a really high viral load when you take the COVID test and it like lights up like a Christmas tree over the positive, you know, I'm not sure if it's the T symbol, but like right away as it goes over it, before even the control. And now it's not doing that, so now at least it feels like it's going down the other direction. So that's good, I guess. Well, if it ran out, why would she be on there as a? No, never mind. I don't care. Doesn't matter to me. Hey, anyways, thanks, Georgina Stoliker up there. Okay, we're gonna do the blood spatter expert that testified in those hearings on July 31st and August 1st in the Delphi case regarding all those motions that the defense tried to, claim, like, hey, we want to do the Odinist stuff, we want to do this, we want to do that, we want to do that. So they had all these hearings, and these are all the different experts that testified, and I think they're going to go over some of the blood spatter, actually, perhaps like the F tree, and that sort of is done to also show that the the Odinism theory is ludicrous. Yep, it's an early one. I got we got that debate later to do on the other channel. It's gonna be crazy, man. It's gonna be crazy. And thanks, Cheryl Bullock.
Chewbacca? I'll be Chewbacca if you want me to.
I don't know what the reasoning. It's just who's ever on there. What do you mean spent on? Well, I was on the other channel. I mean, I was not the other channel. My other computer streaming the, the scanner audio. And then my live stream, I had it set to a timed live stream, and it turned off right in the middle of the one press conference. I mean, it was so stupid. Anyways, let's go. Let's do it. Right now. And while I'm reading this, if you're out there and you feel like you want to help support the channel, I would appreciate it. It allows us to do all the great stuff that we do at the end of the month and sometimes during the month. So this guy's name is Patrick G. Cicero. He was a... and do you have a specialized area of crime scene investigation? Yes, I specialize in blood stain pattern analysis, crime scene reconstruction, forensic entomology for the practitioner as far as collections and the investigative approach, as well as just overall crime scene investigation, sir. Do you have a certification? Yes, I'm certified in the state of Indiana as a crime scene investigator. So then he goes on. They're just talking about they're trying to do the, I guess, voir dire or whatever the hell you call it of the expert questioning. Make sure he's an expert. All right. So this is the National Forensic Academy. Here, hold on, let me use this screen over here. Yeah, that one's better. Thank you, Sandy Shirley. I'm just going to move down to where they're actually talking about it. I don't need to know all about his expertise and stuff like that. No objection. Because only asking that they kept under seal, but under condition. Okay, I'm just trying to get right to that part. I had highlights on it, but then I didn't save it. These 2 days have stickers on them. Yes, sir. Did you actually go to the crime scene? As well as I did. And you were accompanied by retired FBI agent Rich Davies. Yes. And did the two of you, were you given time there to review and see the scene yourself? Yes, I was, sir. And was that helpful to you in understanding the photographs and understanding the reports that you had evaluated? Yes, it was. And did you physically examine items of evidence? Yes, I examined clothing. Were these the clothing what clothing did you examine? The clothing I examined was the clothing that was discovered with Abigail Williams. I want to have you describe, and we'll do it in terrific detail, and will not do it in terrific detail, but I want you to describe the blood that was documented at the crime scene as you saw it. On the photographs, beginning with the blood on the tree, as you want to look at and reflect and refer to the photographs if you want to state the number for the record. And this is that image right here. I don't have the original one. I'm not showing that, but this is, I did the inverse, like the white there is the blood. This part right here is why people go, ooh, look, it's an F. But look at that color right there is the same as all of these. It's just something that looks like that. This has that shape like that going down. And there's that one. Then I also have a different version. This one right here that I made. It's kind of an interesting thing too, because I used it in a tool in Photoshop that isn't for that. Actually, it was pretty funny how it actually worked. Pretty strange. Feeling, I do feel better. My nose is still congested and stuff like that. I'm feeling a little bit better. On the photographs, beginning with the blood on the tree as you want to look and reflect and refer to the photographs. Sure. If you want to begin by what is Exhibit 30 and what does that show us? Exhibit 30 is kind of an overall mid-range photograph of the trees as well as the decedents that are in the background. In the foreground, near the bottom of the photograph, let's see, that might give us an indication. Mid-range photograph of the tree as well as the decedents that are in the background. So how's the tree in the foreground? I guess does this stain on the back of the tree? I mean, that's interesting. As well as the decedents that are in the background. In the foreground, near the bottom of the photograph, there is a blood stain on the ground. Okay, that I observed and categorized as an accumulation of blood that would be consistent with pooling. It was very noticeable. If you know the surface was not a forested floor, but it was large enough and it appeared voluminous enough that it would be consistent with a pool of blood stains. And so when referred later in the photographs to blood on a tree, that tree is pictured in Exhibit 30? It is, sir. It's in the foreground. So it's in the foreground. Yes, sir. Okay, what does 31 show us? 31 shows us a more close-up photograph of the floor, the forested floor, leaf litter with bloodstains on them. And that's also 31. Is it a close-up of what's pictured in a portion of 30 of Exhibit 30? It said, it's not readily easily viewed in 30, but I know where the general location is on the photograph. It's easily viewed on a computer due to painting quality, but it's associated with the areas that I observed in front of the tree, almost like, I believe it was like a little bit northeast of the tree. Northeast, they said. Okay, Exhibit 32, what does that show us? This is another photograph of the tree, a different angle that the photographer took. You can see the decedents in the background. It is of the tree, more on the north side of the tree, and showing bloodstains upon the tree. Well, see, that's interesting. That means, I didn't really thought about that. I just kind of assumed over all this time that I'm not even in the right state. It's right there. So if you go down to the crime scene, I mean, we always thought, or at least I did anyways, that, like, let's say the bodies were here. They're saying the tree is on this side and the bloodstains on the other side of the tree because they're in the background. It can't be this way because then their bodies would be here and you're filming a tree, their bodies would be in the foreground and the tree would be in the background. Do you know what I'm saying? It's not as readily easily viewed in 30, but it's I know where the general location is in the photograph. It's easily viewed. Can you guys go out and share the live stream, by the way? Just somewhere in those groups or something so we can get more people in here. I mean, 91 people, that's absurd, You have 144,000 subscribers and only 100 people, 91 people realize there's something. I believe it was a little bit northeast of the tree. And this is another photograph of a tree, a different angle that the photographer took. And the next is 33, I believe. Yes, sir. This would be, again, the tree, a more closer shot of the tree. It's bloodstains, I believe, in the more northern part of the tree, more of the same. And what is next to 35? And what is the next? 35? This is the tree again with the scale. I'm sorry, this is 34, I'm sorry, 34. And that's what they're saying. It's a picture of the tree with the scale. It's scaling out the blood stains, specifically the blood stain in the center, which I had described as an upside down L shape. Well, there you go. See? Upside down L. See? There. See this one right here? This one eliminates that one little blotch that looks like that because that spot actually matched the rest of the tree. And maybe okay. So that's exactly what I always said to you guys. This is, and then it says it's a picture of the tree with the scale scaling out the blood stain, specifically the stain in the center, which I described as an upside down L. Did you see the references in the examination or the reviewing reports of a tree noted as a with letter F? I did, sir. Did any reference to that in the materials you reviewed? You know, see any reference to that in the materials you reviewed? Yes, sir. And we'll try to why in a moment. And we'll try to why in a moment. I'm not sure what that means. But does that appear to you to be a symbol F on the tree? No, it appears like an upside down L to me. In terms of its configuration, yes. Okay, what's the next photograph? What number is it and which? That would be photograph 35. This would be the photograph of the F upside down L without a scale, but this time it's a discoloration of stain was due to additive or a chemical reagent called crystal violet. Have you used the chemical yourself? Many times. And what is the purpose of using that chemical? Oh man, that'd be so great to see that image, because that would be sort of like what I'm showing you, but chemically. Have you used the chemical yourself? Many times. And what is the purpose of using that chemical? It is to enhance the visualization of blood stains. The actual chemical will basically pigment or change the color for so it's more easy to viewing. So that's kind of what I'm trying to show you guys when I'm this crazy tool that they had in Photoshop. It made it so it was really easy to see. I didn't do anything to this. That's what it looked like. But there was to be more accurate, because it would activate on just blood by itself without, so you would see every little bit of it. Yeah, all right, 46 months, Elaine Talling. And what's the purpose of using it? It's to enhance the visualization of blood stains. The actual chemical will basically pigment or change the color for more easy viewing. And it is your understanding that the crime scene officers returned in the daylight a following day and applied those chemicals to the tree and took the photograph at that time? Yes, that's my understanding. Did that help you to appreciate and more fully understand the configuration of the bloodstain pattern on the tree? It did. As I can understand why individuals would say that this looks like an F. That's what's missing. God, look at that. What's missing to make it an F would be the lower horizontal bar. Man, it's almost as if I wrote this myself, everybody. That is definitely super chat worthy. Oh my God. I haven't read any of this shit. I'm just trying to tell you guys that I've told you guys since the beginning that there is no bar right there. That this, come on you guys, you gotta admit, that's pretty crazy. I've said all the time, I don't see an F, because if you get rid of this thing here that's not blood, see, it looks just like this, then there's just a line there and it's like that. That's hilarious. All right, so come on, where are those super chats, man? I was telling you guys this for a long time. I guess that's just expected of me now, just to be accurate. I know. But just think about it as me being more accurate than everybody else and deserving of the help and support from the lovely freaks. Or not. Anyways, let's see. It did. And I can understand why individuals would say that this looks like an F. I mean, it's almost like I said this exact sentence on the show, for God's sake. I said, yeah, I can understand why you think it's an F. But what's missing from the F was the lower horizontal bar to make it an F. There's not one there. So that's why I had called it an upside down L. That is freaking amazing. I bet you if you went back and listened to those shows, it would say that. Well, hey, thanks Cheryl Bullock for recognizing that. That's amazing. I almost want to, I need to like copy this. This is incredible. Oh, crap, that didn't work. Oops. Let's see, print screen. There we go. Let me just grab that. That is so awesome. Perfecto. Thanks, Lynn GMB. That's hilarious. Man. Oh, you can do super chats, or you can do I don't know if that works. Is it links? Something like that? Like, yeah, that makes me happy again that the way I look at stuff is more right there. You can help out there. You can do a super chat on the button there. Jacqueline, thank you very much. All right, so it says, had you note on the numerous photographs that you reviewed of the crime scene and perhaps even your trip there yourself this spring, but did you note any reddish tint or pinkish tint to the bark on that tree at certain locations? Yes, I did.
Chewbacca?
Hey, K-Me, gifted a membership to Lynn GMB. Why aren't you a member, Lynn? I thought you were one. Come on, Lynn, jeez. But now you're one. You can use the emojis. Oh yeah, it's going to be on the other channel, though. Let's see. What's the next photograph after the chemical applied photograph? It would be photograph 36. What does 36 show us? It shows us the decedents. I believe the photograph is facing the camera towards the north, so the decedents are now in a different location. On the left side of the photograph, there's a large accumulation of blood, which would be consistent with a pooling. Let's see. I believe the photograph is facing. What does that mean? The photographer is facing the camera towards the north. Okay, right. So the decedents are now in a different position. The one on the left side of the photo, there is a large accumulation of blood which will be consistent with pooling. And is that, did we get to the end? Is there a 37? 37's the last one. I'm sorry, I mean, I'm on 36. Okay, go to 37 then. Yes, sir. What is that? This is like a topographical type of photograph. I believe the investigators were on a ladder. Wow, that's crazy. Or some of some type, and you can clearly see again that discoloration, which would be to the west of the decedents. Let's see. So they're looking down like this, and the camera's facing basically this way, and on the west is the discoloration. I'm kind of just picturing this. I've seen the crime scene photo. I'm just trying to think of how that worked. That's so crazy, man. I can't believe it. I mean, it's almost like they listened to the show and had the same sentence. This is like a topographical type photograph. I believe the investigators were on a ladder or some type, and you can clearly see again that discoloration, which would be to the west of the decedent, especially west of Abigail Williams, and again the decedent's laying supine on the forest floor. Decedent especially west of Abigail Williams. Well, that's weird because I guess we don't really know. West of Abigail Williams. So were their feet facing, because Abigail's left of Libby in the photograph, the crime scene photograph. So if it's west of her, but then that would make it between her and Libby if their heads are facing the river. Because let's see, let's look at this again. All right. So let's just say it was like this. I guess we have to sort of picture it to be. Let's say that's Abby. Let's just say, and then Libby is right here. You know, so that's how I was picturing it. And that means that their heads are here and their feet are this direction. However, I guess if the photograph was taken, if you look at it the other way from behind them, where it's their, let's see, their feet are here. Let's see, you'd have to flip it around then. But if you filmed it from behind them, yeah, she's on the right there. Just trying to just figure it out. So if you're like this, and that's their heads and their feet are that direction. If you ever see a photograph with the feet, or the photograph that's out there is their heads are here, and their feet are this way. And so it seems like, though, if you took the photograph from the other side, then the west would be over here of Abby. So, wow, that's weird. I think that's the exact opposite of what I always thought. I think that their feet are towards the river. And Libby's on the right in this shot right here. I mean, Abby is. Yeah, so I think it's like this, interestingly. And their feet are facing that direction. The photograph that is out there is like this, with their feet facing towards us, but then the photograph that they're taking right now is maybe more like this. I don't know. It's pretty wild. Let's see. Let's read that again. I believe the investigators were on a ladder of some type, and you can clearly see again that discoloration would be to the west of the decedent, especially west of Abigail Williams, and again the decedent's laying supine on the forest floor. And this says, I believe the photographer is facing the camera towards the north, so the direction are now in a different location. On the left side of the photograph, there's a large accumulation of blood. So that's on the left side, yep. Right, so that means the camera is facing north, this direction, and they said a large accumulation on the blood on the left side. Then the next photograph is like this, with a large accumulation on the west side. So, okay, that kind of makes sense now, a little bit. Interesting. Okay, this is like a photograph type photograph. I believe the investigators were on a ladder. Okay, Major Cicero, I'd like you to give some detail about the blood stain that you saw on the tree. Would you describe its approximate size and description of the blood as you saw it? Yes, sir. On the northeastern part of the tree. Okay, wow. So now we're gonna, let's put like a little circle in here. You guys want to do that? I just want to make this so it's more understandable. So let's see. Here's the tree. Ah, crap. I gotta get rid of all, do this over again. Yeah, I'll just put it about right there. There's the tree. And then I think I had it where, like, Libby or Abby over here. This is my guess currently. Libby. Yeah, you guys hit the like button, man. If you're out there and you're able to help support the channel, that'd be great. I'd appreciate it. Moving through the month. Okay. So let's read what this says now. Now we got the tree in there. Let me save this. Alright, this is going to make sense. Let's see. Let me get this nice and... so... I'd like to give some detail about the bloodstain that you saw. Yes, sir. On the northeastern part of the tree, where the symbol, again, I described it as an upside down L. So northeast. So it's right here. So something like, okay, that's that would be north. This is east. So like right here is the blood stain. Man, is there anybody here? It's like there's nobody chatting or anything. It's just amazing. Just two people. It's wild. Yeah, okay, so it says the overall pattern was, I believe, like 3.4 by 7 inches. Approximately, well, let's see. So that's probably about like what you're seeing on the screen. Well, you can't see it, but in my personal view, that's almost exactly the size of this. Let's see, it says, the pattern consisted of several different blood stain patterns, not trace, but transfer blood stains. I observed approximately 6 individual patterns, or spatters, and then more on the upper left portion of the area of the pattern. Again, transfer stains to the left of the upside down L, of course, and the L are consistent with transfer. And what do you mean by transfer? Transfer is the definition. So blood transfer is when you have, I'm not reading it yet, but you have blood on a part of your body that you transfer to another element out there. So it could be transferred from the killer, could be transferred from the victim before they died, something like that. Now, transfer is the definition for terminology is a bloody object that comes in contact with another object and transferring the blood over. Yeah, I guess it could be any object, right? And I believe the court is well aware of some of these terms, but would you distinguish for us what you mean by spatter versus the other transfer that you saw? Spatter consists of individual droplets of blood that had energy was applied. Spatter consists of individual droplets of blood that had energy was applied to blood to break it up, and then the target surface, being the tree, had impacted with the tree, and that is spatter. Usually spatter is in the realm of 1 or 4 millimeters in size. In this case, the sizes were 1 to 3, if I remember correctly, approximately 1 to 3 millimeters in size. Also, one other additional pattern that's referred to as flow was also observed in the vertical portion of the L. The upside down L, where there was a voluminous amount of blood to create flow from gravity, that was after the transfer was made. Let's see, where there was a voluminous amount of blood to create flow. Wow, so that was created by flow, not dragging. There was blood at the base of the tree, or near the base of the tree. Yes, that's the question. There was blood at the base of the tree or near the base of the tree? Yes, in my analysis, I defined or identified 3 areas of blood stains. Of course, I just described the one on the northeastern portion of the tree. On more northern, or basically to the right, so they're looking at it from the north, looking south, or basically to the right, approximately 4 feet from the base of the tree, I observed more transfer stains. As a matter of fact, those transfer stains, something like OC, a couple of areas of the transfer stains were quite voluminous. You can see with the darker red, darker brown application when it dried. Directly below that, those stains was another set, or was another series of transfer stains, approximately 2 feet, a little more than 2 feet from the base of the tree as well. Was there a section on the ground, a distance from the tree, where there was a large pool of blood that was documented by photographs? Yes, the large pool or pooling accumulated of blood was more to the south of the tree, and I believe maybe a few feet to the west. Man, I'm not really sure how these photographs are kind of weird. I mean, I guess like you could have taken a photograph like that and they would have been in the background before, so it's not really like behind the tree. Sounds like the stain is on the side that we always thought it was on, and the same side that the girls are on. Thank you, Whiskey Boots. All right, boom, man. There was Kami, get to the membership, and Lynn, GMB, and Cheryl Bullock, and Sandy Shirley, and Cheryl Bullock again up there. There goes my stomach. A couple areas of transfer stains were quite voluminous. You can see with the dark. Okay, was there a section on the ground a distance from the tree where there was a large pool of blood that was documented by photographs? Yes, the large pooling, accumulation of blood was more to the south of the tree, and I believe maybe a few feet to the west of Abigail Williams' foot. So we did figure that part out. Yeah, exactly. Wow, that's crazy. So we did get that right. So their feet are facing. So, I mean, God, I wonder if I could just, let me get rid of this. Or maybe I'll leave that there and just sort of draw, you know, just a little stick figure of a person. I mean, it's not going to look like anything, but just make, maybe those are her feet. I mean, this isn't what they look like or anything at all. It's just me making a person. And there's one. It's probably not the greatest. I can't even, I don't know if I can rotate or do anything, but let's just put them like that. So they're saying on the, this is weird. It's confusing how they word this. I think it kind of made sense a minute ago, but is there a section on the ground? Yes, the pooling accumulation of blood was more to the south of the tree, and I believe maybe a few feet to the west of Abigail Williams' foot. So that would mean that there's, you know, more to the south. but a few feet west of her foot. So maybe they're just saying, like, there's a tree there. I mean, you know, the tree is huge, so I mean, I guess it could have been like here, and that would be close to her foot. I mean, this doesn't have to be as big as I have it. The large pool or pooling accumulation of blood was more to the south of the tree, and I believe maybe a few feet to the west of Abigail Williams' foot. Could you point to the area, the pooling for the court, and identify which photograph we're looking at? And Exhibit 36, the pooling, Your Honor, would be right here. Indicates in Exhibit 37, Your Honor, the pooling would be right there, in between the blood and the base of near the base of the tree, and the pooling was there. Also documented blood in between those 2 points. Sounded like there was just blood all over the place, like a really violent scene there. In between the blood and near the base of the tree and the pooling, was there also documented blood in between those 2 points? Yes, there was 2 other areas, according to the reports and the diagram, where there are 2 smaller areas. There'd be when I saw very small, I'd say just smaller than the large one observed in 36 and 37 that could be considered accumulation. It lacked drips or other descriptives that we use for blood, and when we look at the blood and provide with definitions, but these areas again were much smaller and depended upon the surface, the soil, and the leaf litter. If there was a tile floor, a smooth, non-porous, it would be a large enough that it would be a smaller pooling. Now, let's go to your analysis of the blood on the body of Liberty German. Okay. Oh, Jesus. This is crazy. Did you study those photographs and read the descriptions and reporting? But did you yourself studies, I think it probably just means study, those photographs of her body? Yes. And you had dozens of photographs of that. I did, yes. Would you give just a brief overall description of where... Man, we only got 105 people watching. But for those of you who are out there and you appreciate being able to go over these documents, if you could help support the channel so we can continue to keep doing these shows, I would appreciate it. Thank you. Beginning at examine the lab report that were submitted in this case as well. I did. Specifically DNA. Specifically DNA? Yes, sir. And what did you find in terms of the scene at the tree? The base of the tree, the similar amount away from the base, and then the large pool whose blood was identified. It says, whose blood was identified within those portions. All of the blood, according to the DNA reports, originated from Liberty German. And the only blood identified as Abigail Williams' blood was right there, either on her body or very adjacent to it. So she was killed where they found her, and Liberty German, there was blood in other places. Thank you, Whiskey Boots. All the blood, according to DNA reports, originated from Liberty German. And the only blood identified as Abigail Williams' blood was right there. Yes. Would you describe for the court what you can discern about the movement of Liberty German's body from the tree to where she was found? Man, this is crazy. I didn't realize it had this kind of detail in it. I didn't see this information in some of the podcasts that are out there. The audio podcasts. Thank you, Susan Chamberlain. This is almost like a probable cause document. Yes, so observing the small accumulation that would indicate that Liberty German was mobile at the time the bloodshed occurred. Likewise, bloodstains consistent with the transfer was observed on the bottom of her foot, indicating that she was standing at some point. So all the blood on the tree, the blood that's to the northeast of the tree, the areas again, smaller areas, 2 areas noted by the investigators, and the large pooling all Liberty German's blood. Likewise, the blood of Liberty German's body was dragged through the larger accumulation, which was noted by the pictures. You can see blood from the accumulation to where her final location is, but also the transfers of blood to her, the back of her leg and her calf. Jesus, that's crazy. In examining the photographs of the condition of Liberty German's body, are you convinced she was at some point dragged through, pulled through, that pool of blood in the final resting point near the tree? I think she was she was too open before. Like, if she was over on the side of the tree, and so these aren't probably accurate. I bet you, if that was the tree, they're going to be right behind the tree. I can't really move it all, though, at the same time. So, why do you keep commenting and deleting your comments, Cindy? Like every other comment, you're deleting them. Investigators in the large pooling, let's see, again, smaller areas, observing a small accumulation that would indicate that Liberty German was mobile at the time of the bloodshed occurred. So all the blood on the tree, the blood that's to the northeast of the tree, the areas, again, smaller areas, 2 areas noted by investigators in the large pooling, all Liberty German's blood. Likewise, the blood Liberty German's body was dragged through the larger accumulation, which was noted by the pictures. You can see blood from the accumulation to where her final location is, but also the transfers of blood to her, the back of her leg and her calf. Question: in examining the photographs of the condition of Liberty German's body, are you convinced she was at some point dragged through, pulled through that pool of blood to the final resting point near the tree where she's photographed? Yes. And her left arm is upraised. Yes. And the position of the arm, is that consistent with someone pulling her body? That's exactly what I said. Her body from the area where the pooling was through that pool to the point next to the tree. Yes, it's consistent. Remember that? We said her hand was above her head because she was dragged there. Tell you what, you guys, you listen to the right channels and you're on the right track. Not the wackos out there that believed in horns and ghosts and goblins. Yeah. And the position of the left arm, that says, yes, it's consistent. I want to talk for a little bit about the blood on Abigail Williams' body. Well, first, before we leave Liberty German, is it your belief that Liberty German was mobile, was moving, after she received at least her first initial injury? Yes. And you say that because of what? Again, the small accumulation of blood that were observed at different locations within the immediate scene would indicate that she is in those positions, bleeding, for it to get onto the ground and accumulate in that fashion. Question: is it also apparent that she was at least sitting in a sitting position at some point? And if you're somebody that's in the background listening, this is a case that occurred in Delphi, Indiana in 2017, February 13th. 2 girls. Lots of backstory and all this kind of stuff, but they were followed by a psycho onto a railroad trestle. There's actually video of the guy following them at the very end, and he kills them, but the person wasn't identified for 5 years until a tip came in that led to Richard Allen, who's now being charged, and he's confessed like over 5 dozen times already. Right, but anyways, yeah, you can go look up Abby and Libby. It's also apparent that she was at least sitting in a, let's see. And the position of the left arm, yeah, okay. And again, the small accumulations of blood that were observed at different locations within the immediate scene would indicate that she is in those positions bleeding for it to get onto the ground and accumulate in that fashion. Question: is it also apparent that she was at least sitting in a sitting position at some point? Based upon the blood stains that were observed on her right thigh, there is what is referred to as a projected pattern observed on the thigh. And a projected pattern is it's basically blood stains or blood under pressure that is being ejected out of the injury. In this case, being her neck, which coincides with what I observed on the leg. The stains ejected onto her leg and subsequent flow patterns were made flowing to the inner thigh of the leg. Question: and that evidence itself confirms to you that she was sitting at some point with her head above her thighs? Yes, in order for that projection to be there, the target surface has to be present, and the most logical way for that to happen would be that the injury itself would have had to have been over the thigh. We can tell this mostly because of the flow patterns. The flow patterns went straight down the leg, so the best explanation for that particular pattern would be that she was most likely seated at the time. Let's talk about Abigail Williams for a moment. What evidence do you believe that she was not moving upon receiving her one wound? Does she not move upon receiving that wound at all? She was in that general location the entire time. I mean, there may have been some movement, but generally it's right where she was found, where she's come to her fatal injuries. Wow, that's crazy. Nope, Plato, but yes, everybody, what Plato said from On Location at a grocery store in Indiana. Thank you to everyone who has donated, liked, and shared. And yes, if you're out there and you can help donate to the channel through various means, you could do super chats. I'll read your comment on the air. We can just allows us to keep moving forward to our goals at the end of the month, so that I can continue to also give money away as well. I give thousands of dollars out of the income. That includes the ad revenue, etc., which is I've worked on to try to boost that up quite a bit more lately. So if you have the ability to, I'd appreciate it. Got 125 people here. Hopefully, with that number of people, we'd be able to reach a goal that's up on the top of the screen there. Let's see. Let's talk about Abigail Williams for a moment. What evidence do you believe that she was not moving? She was in the general location. Okay. She was in the general location the entire time. I mean, there may have been some movement. What does the blood evidence on her body tell you? The blood stain on her body observed flow patterns on Abigail Williams' face, which were not consistent with her final resting, meaning either her head was turned to the side at one point, maybe her body was turned at one point. The stains were limited really to the back and the clothing, where saturation occurred. And saturation is where blood accumulates and soaks into an absorbent material. carpeting, clothing, and whatnot. The saturation, the sweatshirt was so saturated in blood, also went into the forested floor, trickled to the right of her as well, where the pooling or accumulation occurred as well. So the movement of her upper torso, or this is a question, and head were from maybe, let me ask it this way, the only movement from her body that you could discern from the blood would have been movement of her head from one side to another. Potentially, yes. Maybe her upper body was lifting up at one point to create the flows that went over her chin. Because our bodies can articulate so much, I can't, say exactly what occurred, but again, blood is a fluid. Fluids will flow towards the least resistance, and based upon the flow patterns upon her face and chin, it was consistent with some movement. Liberty German had a significant amount of blood on her, both hands, correct? Yes. Given how many violent crime scenes, let me put it this way. How many death scenes have you been to in an investigative capacity? Hey, thanks, Whiskey Boots. Again, thank you. Yeah, it'd be great to get some more people involved tonight. I feel a little bit better, but I'm still positive. Still pretty bright indications on the test that you take. So he says, hundreds, sir. I don't know if it's been 20 plus years. I've been an officer for 28 years, and I've been to many death scenes. Given the wounds to her neck, did that seem likely that she had a significant amount of blood on both hands? Absolutely, especially the injuries and the internal portion being that both carotid arteries and the jugular vein we're talking about. Oh, Jesus, really? Ugh, Jesus. No, it says both carotid arteries and the jugular vein we're talking about. Yes. Both carotid arteries and the jugular vein were compromised. There would be massive blood loss as a result. Well, I thought they said that she was alive for a long time. I think they're talking about, they're Liberty German is who they're talking about now. All right, so Liberty German, her neck wound was very severe. It was right there with Travis Alexander type. What about the hands? What have you learned in your investigation about injuries and to the neck and hands? Yeah, I believe it's a natural reaction, and you're going to be putting your hands in that blood, touching portions of your body that is now being blood-soaked as well. And she had a voluminous amount of blood on her arms and her hands as well, so that would coincide with that. But Abigail Williams did not, did she? Abigail Williams did not have any blood on her hands, nor did she have any blood on the sleeves of the sweatshirt. That's so weird. The dark-colored sweatshirt she was wearing. In terms of, there's been some testimony from documentation in this case referencing whether Abigail Williams was redressed after receiving injuries. Oh, good. I wanted to hear about that. I was actually thinking about this. Can you tell the court what your opinion is about whether or not, in terms of the clothing she was wearing, when found, a large dark sweatshirt, a tank top, the gray sports bra, the black bra, were those items on her at the time that she received her injuries? Yes. So she was already wearing those. Wow, that's interesting. And how can you say that? So based upon several factors, in examining the clothing, examining photographs, there was heavy saturation to the clothing. You could see mostly on, so it's almost like the person had Liberty undress and then she had to put on Liberty's clothing, and she's still alive. I mean, like, she's alive, putting, putting this stuff on. So maybe she did it herself, There was a heavy saturation of the clothing. You could see mostly on the back of the shoulders and the neckline, and this is just the outer hoodie sweatshirt that she was wearing. In reviewing her torso, her pink sleeveless shirt, it was a gray-colored sports brassiere and a black-colored sports brassiere. I'm sorry, just a regular brassiere. There was no blood located on any one of these things other than the necklace or the neckline or the shoulders. To the best explanation is that she was wearing it at the time. If she was dressed after the fact, we would expect to see a lot of blood transferred to the portions of the lower portions of the shirt, right? When you try to pull it on, it would just smear the blood down. The sports brassiere, and especially her abdomen. There, the sticks and limbs that were, and the brassiere, especially her abdomen as she's being dressed. Question, the sticks and limbs that were near or on the bodies, you saw the photograph showing those, correct? Yes. And did you, by visiting the scene and also examining photographs, observe any indication that a large limb near Liberty German's body and even the smaller sticks would assist in concealing those bodies from view? Yes. If someone were looking from across the creek this might give us a better, towards the direction where the girls were found, would those sticks and the large limb assist in concealing their body from someone looking in that direction? And then Richard Allen's attorney, Miss Auger, says, "Objection, Your Honor. This is..." It's okay. Miss Auger, Major Cicero, Miss Auger, Major Cicero, right? Yeah, it's fine. Miss Auger. It says Mr. Auger. And that says Mr. Auger. I think it must mean Miss. Is an expert in blood spatter analysis. What someone may or may not have seen across the creek would be beyond this area of expertise. The court. Mr. Luttrell? He says, he visited the scene, Your Honor. He looked at it from a variety of perspectives. He looked at it from the vantage point. He's also a crime scene expert, so of course it matters. Maybe not the specific location, but from the angle of someone across the creek. He was on the crime scene side of the creek, but it looked at it from the same angle, and I believe he can give opinions. If Dr. Perlmutter can give the opinion about a crime scene, certainly Major Cicero could. Miss Auger, Your Honor, may I ask a preliminary question? Yes. Miss Auger said, Major Cicero, you were never at the location where the bodies were found on February 13th, 2017, correct? That is correct, ma'am. Oh, well. Miss Auger, your involvement didn't come into place until, I think, April of 2024. February 2024, I was at the scene in April. Yes, ma'am. Miss Auger said, okay, thank you. And so you were never in a position to see what you could or couldn't see with leaves on it off the tree or anything like that, or differences in topography or anything like that, that in the 7 years between the time the girls were killed and the time you went to the scene? He said, correct. And then Miss Auger, Your Honor, I think that this would be complete speculation. We would object. The court said, anything else? Mr. Luttrell, it's not speculation at all, but I can ask further questions that may clear up the matter. The court said, please do. You observed dozens and dozens of photographs taken at various locations by the crime scene techs, showing the various distances, the scene as it existed before the bodies were moved. Is that right? That is correct. And did you see from the benefit of those photographs, from your own visit to the scene, to give it that further context, did you see any advantage or any effect to cover up or make it more difficult to see the bodies from those sticks and limbs that were present? Yes. Miss Auger, Your Honor. Oh, Miss Auger, and then Miss Auger said, I would just renew my objection. I would strenuously object. I'm just kidding. Remember that was in A Few Good Men? No, not A Few Good Men. It was in... What's the name of that one? It's not A Few Good... That's... What's the name of that movie with Tom Cruise, and he's a JAG officer, or like a... The hell's the name of that thing? Ah, shit. I can't remember. I have COVID brain fog. No court TV. Yeah, You Can't Handle the Truth. That one. Remember they strenuously object? Yeah. Jesus, you guys. Jack Nicholson and Tom Cruise. He was, yeah, it was A Few Good Men then. That's what I said. Okay. I thought I got it wrong. See, that's what COVID brain does to you. You even say it right and you think you're wrong. Yeah, A Few Good Men. Yeah, Cocktail's pretty good, yeah. I like that one. We don't all need to start trying to name every Tom Cruise movie. We've already got the right answer. All right, let's see. I would just renew my objection. I'm sorry, Major. That's okay. I was waiting for you. Miss Auger, it's his fault, whatever that means. The court overruled. I'll give you some latitude. Yes, and there's the answer again. We'll go back to that. Yes, my observations in April as it pertains to topography, foliage from leaves. There were no leaves that I observed on the trees. It's my understanding and observations of the crime scene photos that there were also no leaves in February of 2017. It's Indiana. We know when we start to get leaves. My view in April, that's also not leaves in there, and it would be logical to conclude that the views in February of 2017 and my views of April 2024 would be similar. Yes, they are similar. They're starting to get a little something going on in the trees, but not really. Would be similar in that I could clearly see across the river, or, the creek to the other side of the bank. I could see the path. I could see a path in the forest going up the hill. Right, that's the one you go around from the other side. I walked that one. So in comparison to the scenes through the topography may have been different somewhat, and the vegetation and the tree bark would be different over 7 years. I could still see across, and yes, I believe that especially the large limb could have been utilized to conceal. I think he was going to continue to put leaves on and like branches across the higher the larger tree, and then we're going to lay other branches and put leaves, but I think something may have interrupted them, especially when you look at the timing of when people like Cheyenne and other people started crossing that bridge in the 2 o'clock hour. I mean, they were, now that we know that at 2:32 or 2:34, I guess the phone quit moving, and Cheyenne was on the other side of the bridge at around like 2:45 or 50. Then you're looking at like, man, they were making noise, because people talk, and then the wind was blowing towards the crime scene. You hear that one, Court TV? Pretty interesting stuff. Pretty interesting stuff. Gonna make a movie about Tom Cruise called I Hate Tom Cruise. Yeah. Anyways, you guys, if you can please help support the channel tonight, I'd really appreciate it. As you can see at the top of the screen, that's our normal nightly goal there. Could use your help. Thank you. Kind of weapon was used? Obviously, a sharp force instrument. Let's just keep going through this, if you don't mind. It's Indiana. We know when we start to get leaves. My view in April, and I would logically conclude that views in February of 2017 and my views in April of 2024 would be similar, in that I could clearly see across the river, or I'm sorry. And by the way, let's just go look at that. So watch this. Hold on. Ding, ding, ding. This is the one. Everybody was using this one in 2000, before the 2017 image came out. So this is at like right here, right? This is February of 2012. Then the next one that we started using was April 2017. See how it's almost the same? It's just starting to get a little green here and there, but definitely you can see through the branches. And if you look at any of the other dates, like July, you can forget it. I mean, look at that. That is the thickest freaking canopy you could ever imagine. However, in April, it looks like that. So what the person's saying is accurate right there. Hey, thanks, Cindy J. Anybody else out there? I could see a path in the forest going up the hill. So, and by the way, that path is right. Let's see. See that this little kind of valley right there? There's a path that goes up right up in this area, and then it goes all the way around right to here. So you can walk all the way around right to the crime scene, just like that. And whiskey boots again. Come on, whiskey boots. Anyways, thank you. I could see across, and yes, I believe that especially the large limb could have been utilized to conceal especially the light-colored skin of a person who is unclothed from across the bank. Hey, thanks, Mark, for gifting a membership. Major Cicero, did you take the photographs that you've shown, plus the dozen and dozens of other photographs, and the reporting by the crime scene investigators, the measurements they took? And I'm talking now specifically about the blood on the tree, and conducted an experiment yourself on testing a hypothesis about how the blood was applied to that tree? Yes. So now they're going to say how the blood was applied that made what some people called an F, but I always thought looked more like an L, with not the missing portion of the. Did you hear that part, by the way, Zozo? Because you're one of the people who always say, it looks like an F. It looks like an F. Look at the. I bet you're not. Let me know if you're still listening, because I want to read this. You missed this. So I actually screen grabbed it because it was so perfect. Go ahead, type something in. I guess not. And this is what we'll wrap up with here. Would you describe to the court what the results of your experiment was? Yes, the results of my experiment. Mr. Auger, Your Honor, may I ask preliminary questions? Miss Auger jumps in again. Yes. Major Cicero, the experiment you conducted, I believe you drew some of your own blood. Yes, I did. Miss Auger, okay, you probably didn't do it. I think one of your friends, right? Yeah, we had a law enforcement phlebotomist draw my blood, so we used my blood for the experiment. Miss Auger said, and you put in some containers? We had numerous vacuumtainers that they were put into. Miss Auger, and you put your blood into the vacuumtainers? Was there any kind of anticoagulant or anything in those containers? No. Miss Auger said, no, it was just your blood. It was just my blood. I made sure that there were no anticoagulants. Miss Auger, okay. And do you know how your blood compares to the blood of Liberty German and Abigail Williams? I do not. Miss Auger, in terms of coagulation or type, this is still direct examination, but Miss Auger is jumping in there for a second. Or anything like that? No. Do you take any medications? Like aspirin, for example, that thins your blood a little bit? Or did you, at the time you were drawing your blood, I am on medications? Yes, ma'am. I'm trying to be, I understand, polite. You understand where I'm going with this. I take supplements, and I do have medication for hypertension. For hypertension. Miss Auger, hypertension, okay. And do you know how your medication for the hypertension affects the coagulability? That's a terrible word of your, but you know what I'm saying, right? Of your blood. It doesn't. Miss Auger, okay, I have no other questions. Thank you. Question, now we're back to the actual direct. I know you keep saying that, Zozo, but here's the comment. Here's what they actually said. Does this sound familiar? This was in the document. It did. And I can understand why who said this almost exact sentence right here? And I can understand why individuals would say that this looks like an F. What's missing to make it an F would be the lower horizontal bar to make it an F. There's not one there. So that's why I called it an upside down L. I mean, so it's exactly what I said over a year ago for sure, that you have this portion here, but there is no line right there. You have this dot there. So other than that, it's not an F. Like if you literally just blocked out this area, you wouldn't think it was an F anymore. Okay, people said it was an F because, like in this image, which shows it more kind of the way it looks, see that little spot there? It looks like a continuation, but it actually wasn't blood, and they showed that. He described how that wasn't blood, and see how that color there is similar to all of these other ones? So all you have is like this, these other things, and then one little line over here. So there you go. Well, it doesn't even resemble a piece, Andy Shirley, because if you get rid of that, it doesn't make one. This isn't anything right there. Look at this one again over here. That's just a line there. There's nothing connecting this to here. But what's amazing is that guy, they wrote in that document exactly what I've been saying for a long time. All right. Okay, I have no other questions. Okay. Primarily, we use animal blood in experiments. I had used my blood before. We needed blood right away to do the experiment because of time restraints. But blood we have, through studies, we have shown that blood still reacts in a predictable manner, regardless of what kind of blood it is. Blood has a certain viscosity, surface tension, cohesion, and again, it adheres to our physical laws, whether it's my blood or the blood of another. It will adhere, it will do the same. It will react the same to energy and forces applied to it. Well, we're getting to the point where it says where it came from, okay? So just pay attention now, you guys. We're getting to the important part. In your opinion, was the blood on that tree painted or applied deliberately in a fashion to create a pattern or symbol, or was it blood pattern transfer onto that tree in a non-deliberate, non-painting fashion? The answer, based upon my observations and the results of the experiment, the best explanation for the pattern on the tree was a result of a transfer stain, not from painting. And what type of transfer stain and what type of action with what type of object did you find was the best explanation? From our experiments, and I'll briefly explain the experiments, we used many different parts of a hand from a test subject, applied different pressure, applied different amounts of the volume of blood that was placed upon the hand of the test subject. We have found that the most, in comparison to the stain observed on the tree, that the test subject's hand would be palm facing the substrate or the tree with the pinky finger in an upward position. Let's see. Upward position. And this area of the hand created a stain that was very consistent with what we observed on the tree at the crime scene. You're pointing to the edge, not the edge of the palm, not the heel of the hand, but the edge of the palm. And you're using your left hand. Is that correct? Oh yeah, I see. So you're kind of like, maybe something, something like your hand's like that against the tree, and the blood's like on the inside. That gives you that vertical line. Ah, Jesus, Zozo. Here we go. Let's see, it says, observed on the tree at the crime scene. You're pointing to the edge, not the edge of the palm, the heel of the hand, but to the edge of the palm. Maybe they mean like the inside edge of the palm. And you're using your left hand, is that correct? We use the left hand. I think what they might even be talking about is like right here on the inside, right in there, like that. Yes, but it would be this is not the edge of the palm. It would be more of the meaty area of the palm, which left a similar result. And how tall was the test subject that you used? She was 5'4", similar to the decedent. Similar to Libby German's height? You did that intentionally? Yes. And did you try painting blood on the tree? Yes, I did. Would you describe that briefly for us? We tried painting with fingers and a stick. Obviously, we don't know if painting was a possibility that was utilized to paint, but a logical conclusion is finger or a stick. It's possible to paint such an upside down L. We found it very difficult because it lacked the volume each and every time that we would try to apply it. It would wipe it off our fingers, so you'd have to reapply several times in order to get the full pattern if this was painted. A person trying to paint that blood on the tree would have to keep going back to the source of the blood. All right, well, ask one more time on this show, you guys. If you're out there and you're able to help support the channel, you can see at the top of the screen our nightly goal. After I get through this, I won't be able to continue doing this show on this channel tonight, but if you guys could help out, that'd be great. If you all together chipped in, we'd easily get to that goal. It'd be pretty simple. Thank you very much. And did you try painting blood on the tree? Yes, I did. Okay, he said it's possible. It would wipe it off his fingers, so you'd have to reapply several times. So you'd almost have to have like the blood in a cup and then have your hand up there, and you'd be... Hey, thanks, Sybil Bergeron. Yeah, someone... Let's see. A person trying to paint that blood on the tree would have to keep going back to the source. There you go. See, I just said you have to have a cup. Yes, some source, yes. And did you also observe any sign, any shape of a finger when you tried using a finger that was discernible to you as you looked at it? As it relates to the painting, when we would use a finger or two fingers, we could see the very edge of the finger, the roundness of it, each and every time as it pertains to a finger going back to the tree. I believe that's what you're referring to. Yes. It would be noted approximately, this is the answer. Thanks, Sybil Bergeron. It should be noted approximately an inch or inch and a half. If I remember correctly, I don't have any notes with me. To the right of the upside down L again was another transfer stain that appeared to be a pattern. I think that's what they're talking about right here. This thing to the right of that right there. L, it was another transfer stain that appeared to be a pattern. Either using the photograph with the chemical applied or another photograph, would you point to the judge? Yes. What you're talking about? Your Honor, in State Exhibit 34 and 35, the area that I'm referring to is to the right. Attorney Andrew Baldwin. Is it okay if I see what he's... Yes, the court said. Oh, I'm sorry, ma'am. Mr. Baldwin, Judge, is it okay if I just... The court, okay. So then, I don't know what happened. Then somehow this guy's answering. So here's the upside down L, ma'am. Sir, and this is the stain that I'm referring to right here, ma'am. And that's 34. And 35, ma'am, I'm referring to the stain that's here that was utilized, the stain that was crystal violet was applied to. So what they did on the tree was they put a chemical on there that just showed where the blood was, and I think it looked just like this. I bet you it looked just like this one right here. 100%. It didn't look like this one, because this one, you would think that that was blood and all these other things are blood. No, just the really, if you squint your eyes, only the really bright stuff is blood. Crystal violet was applied to. So in that stain, we did testing as well for that particular stain, and we used digits. And we found that the portion of the thumb created a stain. Oh yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, think about that, you guys. You got blood on your left. Look at, watch this. Oh, that's crazy. So look at it like this. Watch this. This is perfect. So look at it like this. You're going with your hand like that. So maybe this makes the top, the L portion. Maybe, maybe it's a little bit more bent like that, whatever. Then your thumb right there hits. It makes the F. I mean, I don't know if it's easy to see, but look at it. It makes that F portion. Just look at my pinky and my thumb, and just think like the tip of my thumb hits there, and you make that boom, right? Dang, this is good stuff. Yeah, I think the heel of your palm is right there. Your hand, it's just right in that area. That's crazy. Yeah, they said it was 3 inches by 7. Weren't you paying attention? Come on, Cindy, Jesus, come on. The whole image was like 3 inches by 7 inches total, and it's a hand coming down. That makes sense. It was similar to that we observed, the investigators observed. So the thumb made the most accurate duplication of that stain on the tree that you were talking about. That's just an inch or so from the L. God, man, it's so cool to realize that this right here, when I did this, I don't know, year ago or so, this image here really represents what they're talking about. And that's what I try to tell everybody. This one here is irrelevant, just like these other ones like this, because people were saying that that was blood there to make that little F for him. But now you think like that's the... So her hand came down and slid across down, but at one point her thumb hit here and then drug down a little bit too. See, that's crazy. Like her hand was up here and went... and then down a little bit, and then her thumb put that there, and then the rest of her hand went down. Makes complete sense. Makes complete sense. Hey, thank you very much, Cheeky for Monkey 44. And by the way, you guys, when you send super chats in, make a comment, about what you're seeing, what you're observing. Wow, that made complete sense. That was awesome. So the thumb made the most accurate duplication of the stain on the tree that you were talking about. Yes, and it was more of kind of an edge of the thumb, the meaty part of the thumb, and the edge, not the direct straight on. Right, exactly. And we replicated this several times, and it may not have been the exact size or volume that was hard to replicate or pressure, but the shape of itself was very consistent with a certain portion of the test subject's thumb. Would this have been consistent? So they must have, maybe they checked out her hand and it was consistent with that too, or her thumb. Would this have been consistent, the blood stain that you see in the photographs on the tree after examining those photographs and then conducting your experiments? Was that stain that you observed on the tree consistent with Liberty German's hand and her thumb hitting that portion of the tree while covered with blood? Yes. Miss Auger, objection, Your Honor. Speculation, and that could have been anyone's hand. Okay. All right. You mean Richard Allen's hand? Yeah, okay, there you go. And he's about that same height, 5'4", right? Remember? Unless he's got something from the actual body that he can compare to it. I think that's complete speculation. He's got a DNA report, Your Honor. Okay, overruled. Right, the DNA shows that it's Liberty German's blood. Okay, overruled. But a DNA report, Your Honor, doesn't have measurements of Liberty German's hand. The court, I understand that. Overruled. Yes, it is consistent, he finally was able to answer. Let's see, and is that the best explanation for the stain pattern that you saw on the tree that was in the upside down L portion? That's the best explanation given the data and the observations I made. And if that happened, if Liberty German's blood came into contact with that tree and with her hand in the form that you described, and that hand was covered with blood, would that explain all the blood that you saw, including the spatter and the downward flow on the L portion that you described? Yes, the spatter. I don't believe so. He said, yes, the spatter. I said, yes, the spatter, I don't believe so. That could have been caused by another action. What I would expect to see with the spatter, if a hand that was contained a voluminous amount of blood struck or made contact, we may see what's referred to as a sensation cast off. We didn't see that. This was it's not by any means a great distance. It's just a few, maybe an inch away where we saw the spatter. We would expect to see maybe some directionally, however, blood stains, especially spatter, is direct. There is a direct correlation between the substrate surface. The surface on the tree was furrowed, very rough, cratered, layered. This spatter may have been the result of another action that occurred maybe simultaneously or shortly prior to the contact. Again, it's just a very small area. We're talking about a surface area that's a curvature of a tree. There would have been spatter out there in the forest that was not located, because it's hard to see blood, especially on a forest floor. You see small stains. Thank you. I have no further questions. The court. Ms. Auger, cross-examination. So we know somehow there is a pool of blood near a tree, a large pool, right? Near a tree? Yes. No. Question. No? There's a smaller accumulation near the tree. Oh, which pool are we referring to, ma'am? I'm sorry. Well, there are several large pools of Liberty German's blood, correct? There is 3 smaller ones, accumulations, and there was 1 large one. Okay, 1 very large one? Now, Liberty German's neck had several cuts, correct? I believe there were 3. Jesus. And would you agree with me, Major Cicero, that the individual cutting Liberty German's neck, their hand would also be covered in blood? It's very possible, yes. And probably likely, right? That depends on his actions. It's very possible that he does, and he does, and how she faces the assailant, that her actions are her movement moving away from him, the initial cut, if you will. I'm not sure which injury did that. So there's a lot of factors that automatically saying if I'm going to agree with you or not. Okay, now you say his hand. Why do you say his hand? Why do you say his hand? Mistake. Okay, thank you. A hand. Oh, so he said hand just now? Well, that's because you were trying to imply it was Richard Allen's hand. That's why she said his hand. All right, now you know that someone had blood on their hand and it was transferred to the tree. Yes, ma'am. In a pattern, right? Yes, ma'am. Okay, and one of the pattern is an upside-down L, correct? Yes. Now, did you do any analysis of any other individual hands? I don't understand, ma'am. Anyone else? Well, you picked an individual as 5'4", correct? Well, so was Richard Allen, though. You remember? Yes. Yes, ma'am. And that is because Liberty German was 5'4", right? Yes, ma'am. Did you know how your subject's hand compared to that of Liberty German's hand? I don't know, ma'am. Did you know your subject's hand compared? I don't know. I don't, ma'am, no. So you have no idea how similar at all those two hands might be. When you say similar, what characteristics are you referring to? In size? In size is what she said. Correct. And then she asked, and then you didn't, for instance, have any idea about the size of, let's say, Brad Holder's hand. Oh, Jesus. Answer, I'm not sure who that is, ma'am. Okay, so you were just limited to your test individuals, is that correct? Yes. This experiment was merely a way to show that there's an alternate explanation other than painting. Okay, so you were just limited to your test individuals, is that correct? Yes, this experiment was merely a way to show that there's an alternate explanation of their painting. Okay, but if I want to make a pattern of an upside down L, I can recreate that with my right hand. Yes, I could dip it in blood, or if my hand already had blood on it, and put it on a tree. Yes, and you have no idea how the blood was transferred to the tree other than that Liberty German's blood was transferred to the tree. Yes. Now, well, when you say no, you shouldn't say yes to you have no idea. Yeah, that's stupid. Now, sir, if I could, you talked about Liberty German, and I'm looking at page 5. If it's kind of the end of the first paragraph of your report. Okay. And you said blood stain evidence would indicate Liberty German would have been stationary for some time at the location of the large pooling believed to be placard. I'm just going to skip through. I don't really care what they're saying. I'm going to go down to here. Let's see. Here's a longer answer. Let's see. You can actually look in the photographs, and I believe 36, and see the blood trail as it moves around, so it appears to be that its direct path from here. Most likely her head would have been in the vicinity, head and neck would have been in the vicinity of the large pool. So whoever would have done this, would have pulled her, and as a result, the leg, the buttocks, and under the leg, the calf, also came in contact with the blood, and it drug through there, and which is indicative of staining upon the leaves and the foliage. I bet her arm didn't have it, though, on the bottom part of her arm, because she was pulled by the arm. Let's see, can you tell me what patterns are those? Well, those patterns are going across the chin, across her face, down her eyes. That when you look at her final position, I believe her head is turned to the left. That's Libby they're talking about. And that would be consistent with the pattern that we observed on her face. Again, blood is fluid. Fluids travel in the least resistance. Gravity is a factor here, and so at some point her head was potentially turned. At some point, maybe her head was when she was, however, she was picked up, her head was down. You know, if you pick up a person who is limp, because of gravity, their neck, the head would go back, and that would allow these flow patterns to occur. Major Cicero, I'm going to show you the Defendant's Exhibit UUU. Have you seen that photo before? But anyways, all right, you guys, I'm going to go get ready for the debate channel. I don't really care, you know, we're getting information about the crime scene. It was pretty interesting. You know, if you find something like more interesting information in the rest of this, let me know. But that's it. All right, so thank you for all those who help support the channel. Georgina Stoliker gifted a membership. Cheryl Bullock, Sandy Shirley, Elaine Tolling, 46 months. Cheryl Bullock, Lynn GMB, K.Me gifted a membership. Whiskey Boots, Suzanne Chamberlain, Whiskey Boots, Cindy J, Whiskey Boots, Mark, Sybil Bergeron, Cheeky Monkey 44. So anyways, thank you guys very much. Appreciate it. And we'll see you guys later. All right. So until next time, be safe out there.
Yeah, I've been doing this true crime thing for quite a while now. And during this whole time, I have not seen one person that is a crime dissector, flag rejector. I'm a certified human lie detector. Gonna get ya on a stretcher if you try and play me like an old projector. Crime sector is my nectar. Professor Greg is gonna give another lecture. Crime collector, freak connector, and I'm always gonna be a pup protector. Fool deflector, interceptor, and I'm meaner than a spectre with a vector on his pector. With all respect, y'all, just remember I've a temple fucking check ya. I have no agenda, I'm no pretender, and I'll serve it to you straight without the blender. And in the end, I'm gonna send ya on a mission to reveal the true offender. Yeah, so I'll just get right back to work. Alright, everybody? Talk to you later.